अस्सलाम एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू द नेक्स्ट पॉडकास्ट। आज हमारे साथ जो शख्सियत है उनके इंट्रोडक्शन में अगर करना शुरू कर दूं तो फिर पूरा वक्त वही चलता रहेगा। तो लेट्स उनसे खुद पूछते हैं, उनके ज़ुबानी। दानियाल ज़फ़र, कैसे हैं आप सर? ठीक हैं
सर? ठीक, आप सुनाए कैसे हैं?
सर? बिल्कुल ठीक।
सेट है।
मज़ा आ रहा है सर?
उफ, ऐसा वैसा क्या बताएं।
एक्सपीरियंस कैसा था? ऑल द वीडियोस एंड द सॉन्ग्स एंड द होल जो हमने आपके साथ प्रोजेक्ट लेके आके किया।
बहुत ब्रॉड स्पेक्ट्रम का सवाल है ये। आई मीन आई थिंक लाइक अगर आप सोचें कि 6 म्यूजिक वीडियोज वी हैव टू शूट इन लाइक 2.5 days, that's something that I would not like regularly think about कि यार ऐसी possibility हो सकती है, because it's way too much of like work that's cramped up. मतलब लोग एक म्यूज़िक वीडियो मतलब 2-3 दिन में शूट करते हैं, मैंने भी की हुई हैं, and it's so hectic that the first thing that I thought was that this is gonna be an experience that's either gonna make me break through on another level और मैं ज़िंदगी में कहीं और पहुंच जाऊंगा, या फिर this is gonna be like another lesson for me. And thankfully it was a bit of both, because I feel there's nothing, मतलब अगर सब कुछ pitch perfect भी हो जाता तो I think that takes away from the duality and the yin yang of life. कि you also need something to give you friction off of which you learn and you progress and you grow and you think even bigger than in the future. So I'm pretty, मतलब मैं तो बहुत as content as I could be that it was a mixture of everything happening all at once. So my experience, I'm choosing to find words to explain it, but I really can't.
Yeah, to be honest, all those 6 music videos within 3 days is something I think पाकिस्तान में वैसे भी नहीं कोई कर रहा, because हमने it's not only you but also हमने बाकी सबके साथ भी किया है, उनके साथ भी sort of ऐसे ही किया है, like with Shamoon we did like 6 music videos within 2 days. तो खैर हमारे लिए भी वो
जिसकी मैंने एक झलक देख
लिया, हमारे लिए भी
लेकिन पॉट
हमारे लिए भी बड़ा लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस था. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट नॉर्मल डिस्कशन. मैंने जो मेन सवाल है जो कि आई थिंक द ऑडियंस wants to know as well, that Danyal Zafar and Danny Zee, these are two people, right?
Yeah.
And okay, to explain क्या है, who's Danyal Zafar and who's Danny Zee?
I think that's something like, you know how music is such a thing that you can't really अगर मूवी होती तो I would really give you like a breakdown of the characters post the release of everything कि ऐसे ऐसे मैंने सोचा था, but sometimes like someone might even choose not to do that because you have your own perception, and at the end of the day art is something जो बहुत subjective एक चीज़ है. So जो मैं सोच रहा हूँ that what do I feel when I'm Danyal, what do I feel when I'm Danny Zee, it's probably something that might even go on for the rest of my life, I don't know. Okay. But what I do know is that there's certain experiences that Danyal wants to give and there's certain experiences that Danny wants to give. Both of them being two individuals who have had experiences in their own domain separately. Like one person has experienced the whole world from a different lens, which opened up when I traveled the world and when I started falling in love with, like music and deciding this is the reason I'm going to pursue music. Okay. Then there's this entire process that you go through. You're a kid who's just writing songs, right? Like when I was 13 years old, I started writing my own songs. And at that time, you're in school, you're not thinking about, कि अच्छा मतलब career ये वो सारा बच्चे होते हो आप. So making music for me at that time was just this simple act of this is something I love and I want to express myself, and I would even make up emotions that I'm not feeling and be able to tap into that space and express myself, because essentially what I grew up listening to was sad music जिसके experiences sad थे. तो एक side थी जो वो पूरा explore करी थी, but जैसे जैसे I had to step into the industry, like cut to I'm now like suddenly 18, 19, 20 years old, and now I'm thinking that okay, this is something I want to do in my life. Then you need to make certain changes just for you to decide, am I going to be a musician who's going to pay his bills being a musician, who's going to like earn a whole career based off of just being a musician, or am I going to be someone who's doing this and they may not be able to make a living off of it, so they're also going to do something else, which is completely fine. But I love music so much that I didn't want to do anything else. But that process of finding that balance of me being a kid who learned to feel the power of music and its emotions through English music first, and then stepped on to the South Asian whole market. तो मेरे लिए वो जो एक बैलेंस ढूंढने की परसूट थी ना, उसमें से जो करप्शन मैंने फेस की, and by corruption I mean that how certain external factors start influencing your decisions, like when you're that 13-year-old kid like I was telling you about, you're not thinking about anything, na?
Yeah.
Then you're thinking about at like 22, 23, you're thinking about, अच्छा मुझे जो natural thought आ रही है उसको पहले push away करना है जो अंग्रेज़ी में है, फिर मुझे एक नई चीज़ अपने अंदर inculcate करनी है, नई language सीखनी है, उसका expression सीखना है, और वो चीज़ में tap in करके कुछ बनाने की कोशिश करनी है. तो क्यों करनी है? ताकि ये गाना successful हो.
Okay.
क्यों हो? So that I'm able to make a living
out of
as
it.
a musician.
True.
Because no, I don't want to be a guy who's not like, you know, selling big on tours and all of that stuff. I have a dream, and that dream is not for money. That dream is simply that I want a lot of people to be able to resonate with my experience. उस process के अंदर basically corruption वगैरह से गुजरते गुजरते Danny Zee, I would say, kind of like formed to be this catalyst first, and then he identified okay, what's really happening with this kid, because he's also losing touch with the real reason he wanted to make music, which was that he was a kid who fell in love with playing the guitar and like with rock and psychedelic rock music and all of that stuff, and very trippy music as well. So suddenly he's having to, like, you know, all of that stuff, and I don't have anything against it. I love it. It's something that gave me so much love from people. But then that voice started growing and getting louder, that, you know, like there's a certain level of experience that's even beyond this that you want to give to people. I love the song. It's a great experience in itself. But I know what I'm capable of. And वो बस उस पूरी yin yang में, उस पूरे, like, you know, contradiction में, friction में, art for the sake of art, art for the sake of commercialism, art for the sake of public, art for the sake of me. In that domain, these two people just separated. And I thought that the real reason why Danyal stepped into this when he didn't even know anything, the purest thought was कि मैंने Pink Floyd की Dark Side of the Moon सुनी है. And this, what I experienced, is what I want people to experience with my music as well. So Danyal was that kid, and to protect him till he gets back on stage, I created this. I didn't create it, it was just created by itself, this like alter ego that was till the time he figures out his whole thing and just knows that I'm back to like that day when I was that kid listening to Pink Floyd. Us din tak I'm gonna, like, you know, this entity is gonna protect me. So that was my.
That's a really, really long and really specific story.
Sorry if I bored you guys. I usually अभी भी मैंने बहुत एक summary
summarize करके मुझे पता है. I know this because the discussions we have. I know this. ये बहुत एक summarized और बहुत छोटी एक discussion है. But then again, जहाँ पर सवाल आता है कि like Danyal Zafar came first, right?
Yeah.
And Danny Zee came on later.
Yeah.
So the question is that Danyal Zafar came first. And Danyal Zafar was the guy who listened to Pink Floyd, who listened to all the music, the rock, psychedelic rock, and वो सुन के Danyal Zafar बना है. And then Danny Zee came along after like the age of 18, 19. Was it the shift in the music industry which was, okay, so let's be honest. मुझे जो लगता है यार as a musician itself कि हमारी music industry में बड़ा shift आया. कहाँ से हुआ था? कोविड के बाद एक ना, और let's talk about, बोलते हैं Gen Z music जिसको कहते हैं. तो वो इतना बड़ा मेजर शिफ्ट आया, ठीक है, Gen Z म्यूजिक जिसको कहते हैं, जिसको आजकल हर दूसरा बंदा Gen Z लगा हुआ है. तो was Danny Zee to cater that industry, that music जो आजकल जो शिफ्ट आया है उसके लिए बना है, या फिर that's something else?
Yeah, actually no. Danny Zee was not created through that. I specifically...
Not true. I mean for.
No. I specifically remember the exact reason what this was for. वो actually ये था कि when I wanted to get into making music and pursuing music seriously, उसमें एक point आता है where you have ideas on a guitar and you have a song playing in your head कि यार ये गाना है, ऐसे गिटार शुरू होगा, इधर ड्रम्स आएंगे, इधर सोलो आएगी, बेस यूं होगी,
जो नॉर्मल
प्रोसेस होता है.
हाँ.
फिर क्या होता है, you don't know how to operate a DAW, which is essentially in your mind you're a producer, but you can't exercise things you need to know, the knowledge and the technical like profoundness that you need. You don't know that to be able to bring that to real life, right? तो शुरू में मेरे साथ क्या हुआ कि जब मुझे मेरे जहन में चीज़ें बजी होती थी, but I would try to put them out and they wouldn't come out the way I wanted it to be. I wanted it to sound like. वो पुराना थोड़ा वो जो रॉक बैंड्स नहीं होते जिनका बस एक थोड़ा वो होता है ना कि आसमां के लाइक आई वाज लाइक ब्रो मैंने उधर थोड़ा नहीं जाना. वो हो चुका है, मतलब आसमान और जिंदगी और ये नदियों के पार वाली जोन. No offense by the way to anyone with this. I just felt that that's just something that's happening already or it's done. I will not offer something new or different to it. So then what happened was that I was like, अच्छा यार इसके लिए एक certain level of technical profoundness चाहिए, which is the knowledge, the engineering knowledge to know how to record live drums, how to record a live guitar solo, amp करना है नहीं करना है, preamp के through जाना है, मतलब गिटार रिग लगानी है, किस तरह क्या, हाँ. तो I had no knowledge of that. So what I did end up finding comparatively very easy was to make like beats on Logic.
Okay.
And be able to work my way around the electronic system. अब इसमें भी जब मैंने अपना पहला गाना बनाना था, for that I used to go fly to Karachi to शानी भाई. माफ कर दें. हाँ. I would fly to शानी भाई.
Okay.
So उनके पास जब मैं जाता था तो he was working on this song that was supposed to be my first song.
Okay.
अच्छा जब मैंने उनका पूरा प्रोसेस देखा DAW ऑपरेट करने का, तो I was like यार ये like मेरे दिमाग में सब कुछ बज रहा है, but I need to learn this stuff so that I am not having to take flights again and again 3 times a month to just work on one song. What do I need to do? Do I need to learn how to operate this? Okay, I'm going to get into it. Got into production. वहाँ पे easiest thing was forming an electronic sound.
Yes.
मतलब digital kick है, digital snare है, सब कुछ आपका जो है
बहुत
everything
कुछ
is like,
मिल जाता है आपको.
तो वो करते करते I then decided when I made like 3-4 beats, I decided that okay, I think I've found something to hold on to. I need to get out of here now. तो मैंने एक और एक 3 भी parallel बनाया हुआ था. एक और एक 3 drop हुआ, and the day it dropped, the next day, I booked a flight, and मेरा उस time पे दोस्त था निमर. So मैंने उसको reach out किया. He goes by the name of Curly ने. मैंने कहा bro, you want to go to LA for like 2-3 months and just learn music and figure life out? कहता fit है bro. Me, him, my brother, we left for LA and I started learning production over there.
अच्छा.
और वो मैंने बस एक laptop पकड़ा अपना. My brother helped me get a UAD Apollo card, sound card, which was like, he was like, ये loan है. This is like something you have to repay me.
Okay.
back. So, but I believe in you and I want to, हाँ. Because the problem was, yeah, that I would wake up from my house and the state-of-the-art studio was 50 feet away from me. Now the thing, no, in Lahore, at my house, which was the studio that Ali Bhai had.
Yes.
The problem is when you get too comfortable, and when there's something that you have in very easy access.
For granted.
It starts. No. For granted की भी बात नहीं है. I just feel like you have to give yourself a certain amount of like. जिस तरह कहते नहीं एक एक्सट्रीम से एक बंदे को गुजरना चाहिए so that they go through a certain level of grind, which is not, I mean, a grind that is also really in putting you in a limitation. So I wanted to not have access to that studio that's like state of the art with the perfect sound cards and preamps and all that stuff. I wanted that I just have a laptop and I have one sound card and I have one mic and a pair of headphones and these pair of monitors that we went to Guitar Center to buy for like $30. वो छोटा सा 2 पेयर था जो और हमें तारे तूरे लगानी कुछ नहीं आती थी. हमने 3 घंटे ट्यूटोरियल देख के तारे जोड़ रहे हैं क्लैम्प्स के साथ कि एक मॉनिटर से आवाज़ दूसरे में भी आ जाए. So I wanted that and it was necessary for me to go through it. Because that is what the struggle, the more harder it is, the more it carves you and you shape up to be the diamond that you're supposed to be.
Definitely.
And there was a certain level of expectation I had with myself that I was not being able to reach up to when I was just at home with all the comfort that I had. So, point coming back on track, when I started learning that production in LA, when I was making 10 beats a day, and these were trashy beats, like if I play them to you right now, you'd be laughing your ass off. This is what this guy went through. Because in order for you to get to a point where you're a good producer, you need to make like maybe 1,000 bad songs.
Yeah.
1,000 like trashed beats or something. I may be wrong. Some people might even crack it on their first go. But मेरे लिए वो बहुत
वो
फर्क
बड़े
था.
कम लोग होते हैं. It's something
हाँ,
once in a
yeah,
blue moon
वो
type scene.
वही ना रगड़ा. इस domain में भी जितना रगड़ा आएगा उतना ज़्यादा.
Yes, you're right. Grind बड़ा ज़रूरी है.
Yeah. So through that is where I was like, this sound, it's not the sound I grew up listening to, but it's a sound right now that's very easy for me to produce.
Okay.
I don't know how to get a drum kit mic'd up and record it. I don't know what compressors are needed there. I don't know trigger किस तरह operate करता है, क्या होता है. But I do know that if I just press Command K on my Mac and just have the whole keypad pop up and just make a beat there in 5 minutes, throw a loop and start rapping on it. And even rap was never, I'm not a rapper, I don't consider myself a rapper. It just so happened that the day I landed in LA, उसके 1 से 2 हफ्ते बाद Drip Harder आई थी, which was Lil Baby and Gunna. और उसके कुछ टाइम बाद या उसी के टाइम के राउंड अबाउट एस्ट्रो वर्ल्ड आई थी, which was Travis's album. That album ना, when I heard it, believe it or not, मुझे उस टाइम तक नहीं, I was not, and this is 2018, I was not aware of the fact that auto-tune is something that is used to manipulate your vocal, like deliberately. It's an aesthetic that people choose to go for, and it is a style that is in rap that you auto-tune the fuck out of your voice, and it's like auto-tune full retune पे गया हुआ है, zero.
Bro, 2018 की बात है, पाकिस्तान में रह के भी नहीं पता था कि auto-tune
नहीं, मुझे ये चीज़ें नहीं पता थी ना. I was still like, I was not a producer or an engineer. I was still learning these things. Ideas दिमाग में बचते थे, लेकिन मैं सीख रहा था कि इसको imprint कैसे करना है कि जो sound, जो ये मैं चीज़ें सुन रहा हूँ, it's sub par that level. So उसमें छोटी से छोटी चीज़ें आ जाती हैं यार, like whether you want to work on Omnisphere, what is Massive, what is Serum, what is this, that, you learn a lot of things, you learn softwares, you learn hardware. So compression सीखते हो, ये क्या होता है, EQ सीखते हो, imaging क्या होती है, and then you learn that these things really help you shape up from an engineer's perspective. This is what helps you shape up your tracks. In fact, engineers are what they literally make tracks. Like, they can either cause a track to fall off or they can cause a track to like really surpass what it originally was. Engineers end up saving everything as well because वो sound design की game ही सारी वो होती है. तो जब मैंने ट्रेविस की सुनी एस्ट्रो और मैंने जब गना सुना, लिल बेबी सुना, तो मेरे अंदर there was this element of rock and this rage that comes with rock that was being like picked on. मतलब मुझे याद है मैं गाड़ी में जा रहा था निमर के साथ और हम ऊबर में थे और मैंने गाना लगाया, कैंट से लगा था एस्ट्रो का, ट्रेविस का, और मैं सुन रहा. I had never seen a live like hip hop concert, not even on like YouTube videos and all that stuff. मुझे नहीं पता थे. This is when I got to know of all these people. So मुझे नहीं पता था that Travis is like selling out like stadiums and tours and headlining events and all that stuff.
Because before 2018 मतलब कभी experience
वो global level पे शायद break नहीं किया था इतना.
वो तो उसके लिए I'm asking about you, like did you have any experience listening to rap like?
No, not at all. My doorway to figuring out rap was actually X and Lil Baby and Gunna and Travis. Okay. These were like the first 3, and Trippie Redd as well. These were the 3-4 people that I heard जो मेरा gateway थे music में, rap music में. So मैंने जब when I heard that song in the car, तो मैंने headphone उतारा, मैंने कहा bro, पता नहीं क्यों मेरा दिल कर रहा है कि मैं like I just fucking rage at this song. Like I know that this is just whatever this tempo is and all of that stuff, and it's making me like bop my head, but मेरा तो दिल कर रहा है इस पे mosh pit होनी चाहिए. I go on YouTube because I'm curious as hell, and I just search Travis's concerts, and then I realize there are actual mosh pits. Yes. And I did not know of that culture. So मैंने कहा यार एक second, मैंने एक चीज़ सुनी है that sparked an emotion of rage within me that rock music used to do, and I hadn't even been exposed to what this sound is like when it's like when it's like transformed into live shows. लेकिन ये तो वही हो रहा है जिससे मेरे दिमाग में था. So I connected with that feeling of rage and like, you know, just going simply like crazy whenever the 808s hit and all of that stuff. So then I was like, bro, I think that element of rock is something I can channel in trap, and then the production is relatively easier and quicker for me as well. Then there's auto-tune. So then there's this entire game of smart manipulation that
Yeah.
you can work to your advantage and be able to make more songs instead of being stuck on one proper rock song for a while. Now, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि रॉक गाने पे अगर एक आपने 10 दिन लगा दिए हैं तो वो बेहतर ही होगा हिप हॉप से. ये लड़ाई नहीं हो रही, ना कंपैरिजन हो रहा है, ना वर्सेस हो रहा है. This is just a kid who was like, yaar, I need to make moves quick. I need to learn things quick. I need to grow quick. So how do I take everything that's at my disposal? How do I take this knowledge and what I'm learning and work up a way where I can start getting results? And that's what I did. I made so many bad songs. I made an entire 14-song album which was called, नाम नहीं मैं भी बता सकता क्योंकि उसका reprise बाद में आएगा. I scrapped it because the sound was not good enough. And then I started working on Blue Butterfly. So उस पूरी domain के अंदर, my purpose of telling you this entire arc is that Danny Zee in this never had any intention that this is what the Gen Z wants. I don't even identify myself as a Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z. So, but I do know that the kids like these days, this is something that they're feeling, you know, like I feel this in the 90s mein, there was a huge like socio-cultural, you know, like artistic like change that was happening because like grunge brought this new era of like fashion as well, and then it was the new sound, and then it was so popular that it became mainstream commercial.
Basically Nirvana and unke sound.
And then they became pop. It became pop music. What is
Yeah.
pop music essentially? Pop music is popular
Popular
music.
music,
What's right now, arguably, hip hop has become pop music.
In right now these days, yeah.
It's hip hop. और मैं तो 2018 में उस वक्त रैप का सीन पाकिस्तान में इतना नहीं था. उस टाइम पे
थोड़ा सा था,
बहुत नीच लेवल पे
niche
था,
level पे
लेकिन
था.
मैं बात करूं मेन स्ट्रीम कमर्शियल में रैप
बिल्कुल
ब्रेक
ही
नहीं
था.
हुआ था. You had people like Stunners
But
who were really
really
running it
funny.
really nice and making and building their entire base, and they had a niche following that was really solid. Like they were the kings of what they were doing.
Yes.
Then you had people like Shamoon who were constantly grinding and making their own and forming their own niche with their own sound.
Yes.
Both of them have slight touches. Of course, Stunners are hip hop, but Shamoon also has just like touches of like small hip hop elements,
Yes.
like whether it's a beat, whatever it is. Then he sings on top of that.
Yeah.
So ये चीजें हो रही थी.
Definitely.
लेकिन I remember 2018. असल में ना 2000 मुझे ये लगता है 2009-10 से लेके या 11 से लेके शायद 11-12 से लेके 18 तक ना, I personally feel that Pakistan's music industry was in a void of not knowing what's really happening. So in that void, when it was 2018, which was arguably the decline of that void, and we were now gonna rise up.
Yeah.
What I realized was that hip hop is gonna be the next global thing.
Yes.
So I remember I made that call to my brother. I said, you need to go right now on like Apple's Hot 100 list, the Billboard Top 100. I want you to look at every single song that's enlisted there. It's only hip hop music. Us time pe the only 2 songs that were not hip hop, one of them was Maroon 5 ka Girls Like You, और इसी तरह का एक और कोई pop गाना था जो उस time पे आया था. Only 2 songs in the entire list that I saw that were exceptions.
Okay.
So I told him that I think this hip hop wave is going to come and is going to take over the world and even Pakistan.
Yeah.
At that time, a lot of people, like industry people, used to argue कि hip hop तो हो ही नहीं सकता असल में फलाना.
I'll be honest, I was one of them as well. मतलब I never thought कि hip hop कितना crazy आएगा. I think it's
मतलब
because
ये नहीं मैं कह रहा कि masses level पे, that's fine, that's a valid argument as well, but it's still enough to, even to the masses, to a point that you can have a very comfortable and easy living and career now being a rap artist in Pakistan.
yeah.
You know,
So-
Stunners have shown that.
Stunners have shown that.
Yeah.
लेकिन Stunners के पीछे बहुत बड़ी मेहनत थी. मतलब like I think more than a decade.
More than a decade, bro.
Decade, bro. मतलब उन्होंने कब से शुरू
So,
किया
yeah.
था? Massive, huge respect for them. But the point is that you were talking about the void right now. You know, तो 9-10 से लेकर 18 तक जो void थी. And you came up with your first song during that era, basically आपका
Muntazir?
Muntazir on
Yeah.
you were on the platform there. Let's talk about Muntazir and also another song with Ali bhai ke saath
Julie.
Julie.
Yeah.
And those songs, if you look at them right now, and then Blue Butterfly, they're like poles apart.
Yeah.
Even Ek Aur Ek Teen bhi I would consider something थोड़ा
Pulls
सा
apart.
different.
Yeah, yeah.
That shift जो आपने बता दिया कि ये 2018 में you were introduced to that whole hip hop rap music and उसकी वजह से change आया था, but you are a really good guitar player. I have seen you and I've seen your playing and even on the videos as well, the songs as well, like you're crazy guitar player. और मैं मुझे याद है कि इस्लामाबाद में अब्दुल्ला सारे हम बॉय जब हैंग आउट करते थे तो उसने बोला था यार डैनी जी गिटार बहुत क्रेजी बजाता है यार. So why the shift? Because the hip hop and rap, I know matlab you were like you got to listen to those music और बड़ा enjoy किया, but as a guitar player or a really good guitar player, गिटार छोड़ना बहुत कम use करना, why?
Me, actually, I was playing the guitar every single day of my life.
I'm
I
sure
never
you're-
gave it up. The only difference was the people weren't hearing it. Why? Because I was discovering a new sound. And in that sound, the first thing that happened was it's hip hop majority is all loopy production.
Yeah.
Right? You find a sample or you find a loop.
Loop,
That's how
beat.
90% of the people work.
हाँ.
8 बार बनाए चप 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 कॉपी पेस्ट
Copy
कॉपी पेस्ट
paste
कॉपी
कर
पेस्ट
दिया,
इस
बिल्कुल.
टाइम पे ये म्यूट कर दो इधर स्नेयर म्यूट कर दो इधर बेस म्यूट कर दो
Definitely, हाँ, वो तो idea वो-
हाई पास फिल्टर दे दो ये कर दो वो कर दो. ये ट्रिक्स होते हैं जो खेलते रहते हैं सारे. With the guitar now I have a relationship that is so sacred that whenever I pick up a guitar there's a story that I want to tell. And I feel in the world of like hip hop and like acha I wouldn't really say hip hop, I would say like trap music, like
Yeah.
for me like somewhat rage trap music.
Yeah.
उस दुनिया में मुझे उस टाइम पे I was not as well versed to be able to incorporate that into this genre and be able to maintain that integrity and that depth and be able to tell that story as well, because I don't want to play one thing for an 8-bar loop and then just loop it and have no progression. या जहाँ तक बात आती है कि तो ऐसे ना करो, प्रोग्रेस करो गाने को, हाँ करो उस टाइम पे, लेकिन मेरे पास नॉलेज नहीं थी इतनी. उस टाइम पे मैं लूपी प्रोडक्शन में स्टक था and that's the sound that I was going for, and I decided कि Danyal's that guy who's going to pick up that guitar, because the music making process of both these approaches are vastly different. एक के ऊपर आप beat लगा रहे हो और आप headphones लगा रहे हो and you crank up your entire auto tune and you come up with the melody. You might also be recording everything out of like मतलब बेसुरा हो के आप record कर सकते हो, मतलब tone deaf हो के भी आप record कर सकते हो and it's going to give you all the notes in that auto tune right.
Okay.
So वो process फर्क है. When you pick up a guitar and if you're a guitarist and if you've heard people like Floyd and Nirvana and they're your influences and Buckley, you want to make a song that is based around that entire ideology where there's no auto-tune, where there's no nothing, where there's real musicians sitting with you. I'm not saying people who work on electronic stuff are not real musicians, but it's like we have real instrumentalists sitting around you. And now you're going to build this journey and you're going to write something in that song जिस पे गिटार की एक अपनी दुनिया है, पियानो की अपनी है, ड्रम्स की अपनी है, and they all come in together to help you tell your story. So just two different things that I didn't want to interlink because I did not know the best way to do it at that time. Now I do. And I never left the guitar. A lot of times, the first thing I did in this studio also was वो भी याया भी है तो मैंने कहा मुझे नीचे जरा ऑन कर दे. वो मैंने टेली देखा आप लोगों का था. मैंने टेली पकड़ा है. I go on YouTube, I put on some yes, exactly. तो मैंने Stevie Ray Vaughan का लगाया, couple of his live shows, and I just jammed along to them because that's something that I am to my core now. That's what I've been doing secretly.
Secretly, I think you
अब वो
still do
खुल के
it.
आएगा.
I
I
think
keep
for
doing
this-
it forever, but now it's finally that time where it's going to start coming out as well.
अच्छा, we're talking about right now ना कि अभी ये discussion चल रही थी. आप कह रहे थे अभी कि this whole Danny Zee and Danyal Zafar. So two separate, identities, but right recently you came up with the song Ji Karda and Stupefied.
Yeah.
And that was Danny Zee into like Danyal Zafar.
Yeah.
And basically now I think you've come to that point, you've realized कि हाँ कैसे दोनों साथ रह सकते हैं. Is that the
Yeah.
thing?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think we all have, there's some people who have like an inner voice, that's sometimes like narrating shit to them
Yeah.
as well. It's just about the fact that when you have made peace with that inner voice and now you're also doing things in your life that are in line with that inner voice.
Okay.
So when the both of you feel like you're best being able to express yourself in the world of art, of course two people can coexist.
Yeah.
मेरे जो internal questions आते थे वो ये आते थे, यार दिल तो मेरा ये कर रहा है गाने का, लेकिन लोगों को ये समझ नहीं आएगी, लोगों को ये पसंद नहीं आएगा, लोग चाहते हैं कि मैं कुछ देसी करूं, लेकिन यार मेरा एक्सप्रेशन तो बेस्ट अंग्रेज़ी में है, तो और मुझे ये नोट्स और ये है जो मुझे इंटरनली जो मुझे सबसे ज़्यादा सेटिस्फैक्शन दे रहा है, लेकिन मेरी सेटिस्फैक्शन से मुझे तो शायद कुछ नहीं इतना मिलेगा, एंड पे तो लोगों ने ही गाना सुनना है. देन ऑल्सो समटाइम्स यू वुड प्ले योर सॉन्ग टू पीपल एंड you get hit with the question that आप उर्दू पंजाबी में क्यों नहीं, अंग्रेज़ी में क्यों गाने बना रहे हो? So of course you don't expect everyone to have that that perception, that or perspective कि यार okay because I have made उड़ चलिए,
Yep.
I have. People think that I, for some reason, have lost the ability to make that stuff again.
No bro, but उसकी example so long goodbye है.
No, वो भी मसला नहीं है. So Long Goodbye तो पहले बना था ना.
हाँ.
और चलिए was made after.
Yeah.
The thing is, and then Akhiyan was made as well.
Yeah.
Sajna Way was made as well. Ishti Shama was made as well. The problem is, people don't choose to look on the other side of this whole perspective, which is maybe he's trying to do something that's different.
Yeah.
And maybe he's just trying to express himself in a different way that he likes, and if he's happy with it, to fit it. So I've always had to like deal with that conversation, and then I don't expect people to like understand my point of view. For some people, it's still all about numbers, So वो भी आ जाता है कि अच्छा तुझे numbers नहीं चाहिए, numbers के लिए तो यही चलेगा, नहीं यार अब तो देखो million भी आ जाए streams तो fit है, हाँ लेकिन bro मतलब 50 million के बारे में सोच, 100 million club के अंदर जाना है अगर, तो तुझे तो पता है कि तुझे सिर्फ कि वे तेरे पीछे मैं तेरा, मतलब तुझे ये करना है. So people don't realize that the easiest thing for me to do actually is to just make that kind of song.
Okay.
But because I have so much more to say is where that other voice also comes. So it's just the both of them are just trying.
Okay.
That I'm just best expressing myself. One side tries for me to be a little bit more practical and think a little about the people. वही बात आती है ना, art for the sake of art for the sake of you, art for the sake of people. I remember I saw this video. It's amazing. This guy is a musician. He's asked a question. He's a jazz musician.
Okay.
So he's asked a question, do you think that jazz musician is for the listener or the player? And now jazz is a type of music, like a genre that's a little more elevated. You need a certain acquired taste to enjoy jazz.
Yeah.
Majority of people don't enjoy jazz.
They don't understand कि हो क्या है.
समझ intellect थोड़ा कम है वो चीज़ समझने के लिए. So या preferences और है, मसला नहीं है कोई. So वो बंदा कहता है that music is always for the listener, but the player is the first listener. So until you make something that's not, this is my personal philosophy with my stuff that I do. Until you're not feeling something from your own, expression, I don't know how much of that energy is going to be reciprocated if you are not giving yourself that energy in the first place that you want from people. You feel me?
Yeah.
Layers हैं इसमें.
True.
If you're not enjoying your music as much and it's not hitting you as much, कई दफ़ा हो भी जाता है. So many people have so many popular songs that they hate, but people love it so much. वो भी ज़रूरी मसला नहीं है वो. बात मेरी सिर्फ ये है that I want that whatever I put out is something I can 100% take ownership of, something I would really be proud of.
So have you like came up with something जो बाद में जाके like you release something which you're not proud of right now?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like, and that's why I took a break, because I was like, okay, I'm headed somewhere where I know how this is gonna turn out, and I don't want to go there.
That break
I'd-
was after
I'd-
एक और एक तीन.
No. That was after I made Uddi Uddi Jave.
अच्छा.
Yeah. So Uddi Uddi Jave जब मैंने बनाया था ना,
हाँ.
that song was not made from. That song was not made from, except one part, and that's the part that people also like the most. So मेरे साथ होता भी यही है फिर. The majority portion of that song was not made from an intent of, man, this is what I want to say, and this is what's coming from within.
Okay.
Majority of that song was made in fun. मेरे पीछे वो boy उस time पे बैठा हुआ था मेरे साथ, Ussayd, great guy.
Okay.
So he's witnessed a lot of like my process as well of me just recording. तो मैं वो मेरे पीछे बैठा हुआ था और मैंने बस pennies in the bag. तो मैं पीछे मुड़ा और हम हंस रहे हैं और मैं बस कह रहा हूँ baby I'm make you mine, और मैं हंस रहा हूँ और हम लोट पोट हो रहे हैं और मैं कह रहा हूँ, वो कह रहा है ब्रो ऐसे ही करते हैं, मैं कह रहा हूँ ब्रो पागल है, लोगों ने कहना ये क्या कर रहा है make you mine. तो but see it was just us having fun and I let it go. मैंने कहा पक्की बात ऐसी कर दूँ, कहता जानी ट्रस्ट मी ये भी एक जोन है अजीब सा, ऐसी कर दे. तो मैंने जो मेरी एक्चुअल इंटेंट होनी थी उस गाने को थोड़ा बहुत नॉर्मली गाने की, वो आई डिडंट गो थ्रू विद इट. So naturally, I didn't put this type of feeling that I like putting, which is like outpouring emotions. Instead, I just put this other feeling that was like random. वो भी fit है, उसको मजा आ रहा था तो मसला नहीं है उसमें. उसमें जो वो वाला part है ना, तेरे बिन राता हूँ, that was something where I was able to tap into a much real place. So apart from that, I'm not proud of that song. If I had a choice, I might even have that part remaining and just take out the whole song. और मुझे एक और चीज़ realize हो गई थी, अगर मैं ये continue करता रहा ना, I'm gonna the conflict, my inner conflict is gonna start increasing, because this is me stepping into that domain where I will have to like, you know, write certain types of lyrics that may not be as in depth for me and my personal journey and experience. वो फिर मैं ज़्यादा, क्योंकि उड्डी उड्डी जावे प्योरली मैंने लोगों के बारे में सोच के बनाया था. And I've just realized some songs that I have made, keeping people in mind, I just somehow don't have as much of sense of personal fulfillment. Those are not songs I would listen to by myself.
Okay.
Like these songs that I've made, I would listen to all of them by myself. I wouldn't listen to Uddi Uddi Jave by myself. I wouldn't listen to Ishq Di Chama by myself. Not saying they're not good songs. They're great songs. I'm not taking away anything from them. They're my songs.
Yeah,
of course they're good
songs.
songs. I'm just saying an artist always has his personal affiliation with his piece of art, and they always feel a certain way about what they've created. Some people might be laughing, oh, Uddi Uddi Jave ko art keh raha hai, ha ha ha. It's not about that. It's just about the fact that, you know, what do you feel with it? Like, I'm looking at this cactus, what do I feel? I feel like, oh, yaar, iska size itna fit aur itna compact hai, it's making me feel very cozy and safe.
Okay.
I'd want this on my bedside. Now, I didn't want this by my bedside because, hey, I should have a cactus by my bedside. It sparked a feeling, and that's why I wanted. So a song has to spark that feeling for me to want to listen to it. So this song didn't spark that feeling for me, you know.
Makes really sense, yeah. Like, so you did Muntazir, it was your first project, right? Like, मतलब
उसके बारे में तो बात नहीं की.
हमारी कहाँ से बात करता, हम वो बात कर रहे थे. Muntazir was your first project.
Sorry guys.
And उसके लिए you like Muntazir था and Julie था, दोनों साथ आए थे.
दोनों, both of them were in the same season. Yeah.
And उसके बाद like एक दिन को टाइम बाद आया था, like.
क्योंकि मेरी एक एल्बम पूरी रेडी थी मुंतजिर से पहले. Pre-Coke Studio, I had this album, 6 songs.
Pre-Coke Studio, you had
Pre-Coke Studio,
anything released basically.
No. I didn't have anything released, but I was working on an album which was like 6 songs, and they were ready. And I remember I played them, and we were discussing this music video, जो बहुत extravagant एक concept था, पता नहीं क्या. और एकदम मुझे फुटबॉल एक रात खेलते हुए बिलाल भाई की कॉल आ गई. And he was like, this is what I have for you, and I feel like you would be a really good fit. Now, you are, how old was I? कितनी पुरानी बात है? 2017 की बात है. So 2017, 23, 6 साल पुराना. So I was 20 years old. You're 20. You've always imagined and visualized कि यार Coke Studio मुझे मिल गया ना. Coke पे होना चाहिए debut. Like I want to come on Coke Studio. Why? Because that whole part where 2000 मतलब 12 से onwards जो थोड़ा सा एक decline आया, and then we started coming back up, and when Strings took on Coke Studio and they gave a fresh twist to it, everything really, like changed, and now Coke Studio was back again, and people were really liking it, and they everything was amazing. So, उस point पे Coke had, because the music industry was so saturated in a bad way that artists were not doing anything for personal expression, and it was only like commercial gaane, India ke saath deals, I need 1 million views on my songs. Even I was chasing 1 million views. We were chasing that thumbnail without even knowing that, oh, you just pay for that shit to happen. So I didn't know as much, and the only thing at top was, and no new artists were putting out albums, the album culture had declined, there was not a music buzz and a music scene that was even on an underground level that would eventually grow up to like pop off, because even when you look at like the 90s, 80s, 70s scene of Pakistan, there's always been, like that underground thing that had been happening, and then it blew up, and a cultural level like shift happening as well. NCA के graduates क्या कर रहे हैं, किस तरह jam कर रहे हैं, BNU से कौन निकल के आ रहा है, क्या और all of that stuff. True. Now, by our time, because of YouTube ban and all of that stuff, इतना ज़्यादा Bollywood का भी influx आया, हमारे अपने artists गाने और albums नहीं बना रहे थे, तो certain way से
हम पीछे चले गए थे. लोग जो हमारा time था, I think उसके that YouTube ban plus I think though even that era which we were talking about, pre 2018 era, we were like एक पीछे दिमाग चल रही थी, मतलब हमारा
like बहुत
हमारा म्यूजिक जो था वो हम प्रोग्रेसिव भी नहीं था, बट एक जगह फंसा हुआ था.
It was, it was not doing something that was exciting for stakeholders of the music industry to get pumped into making things happen. Like now you have so many music shows. You have the concert culture that's come back. There was no concert culture as well.
It was, but not वो वाला scene जो आपको होता है.
Festivals अब तो हो रही है ना. Now like your entire winter season is a whole season where you're gonna bag these amount of shows, and it's gonna come back. And that happened with this entire new wave that came. There was a huge long break between 2012 till like 18, जिस तरह जो भी था. लेकिन उसमें Coke कि ये situation थी कि Coke was the best thing that could happen to you. I didn't have like an album deal.
Okay, you were 20 years old.
So there was that entire overwhelming experience of fuck what I've been visualizing.
Exactly.
ये तो होने लगा.
Exactly. अब सवाल ये आता है. You were 20 years old.
Yeah.
And you yourself said that you wanted to be on Coke Studio, and you thought कि Coke Studio में आ गया मैं
तो खत्म
मार दूंगा.
मैंने album hold पे रख दिया.
Coke Studio
I was like, Coke will come. We will, a month after my songs released, we will release this album through 6 music videos that are going to be released in a span of 4 to 5 months. And then we're going to move on in life.
But मेरा जो सवाल अब इस पे खुद आता है. Point ये है कि don't you think that Coke Studio is not the thing that people like will make the artist? Like पहले मैं भी सोचता था यार Coke में आ जाऊंगा, पता नहीं क्या हो जाएगा, but खैर मैं भी नहीं आया. But point is that you came. But उसके बाद a lot of other artists also came in Coke Studio. They performed, but they couldn't make it big. But yes, some did. But don't you think Coke is not the criteria to like say it's your success कि हाँ यार ये Coke में है तो बहुत बड़ा artist बन जाएगा या बन गया है?
I think that, I mean, me personally, when I thought that Coke would happen, I thought it's going to change my life and things are going to just, go in a different direction.
Did it?
So it did not.
The way
it
you
might
wanted.
have changed my external life, which is the life where now how people view me, and now if I'm getting brand endorsements and now I'm on Coke, so I'm being viewed as, oh, the golden child who, because of his brother, landed on Coke. a lot of things, okay, अच्छा उतनी देर से anticipation थी, because in the music scene, at like our get-togethers and jamming parties, I'd always be jamming, so everyone knew that, okay, this is a kid who's like talented and everything, and he's gonna come up. But I feel when that song dropped, I was more excited about being on Coke Studio. Then I was aware of the fact that what it is really that I want as an artist to achieve. You feel me?
Definitely.
So हाँ, so मैंने साउंड नहीं ढूंढी हुई थी अपनी, मैं अपना एक्सप्रेशन अंग्रेजी का अनलर्न करके उर्दू और पंजाबी का लर्न कर रहा था.
अच्छा.
उस मोमेंट में कोक मिला, so naturally anyone in my place would be like, this is it. This is the golden ticket. When it happened, I remember I was on set and the third take got over. You only get 3 takes. So the third take was over with and it was a success. And I was so overwhelmed that I was not being able to feel anything. I was like, okay, it just happened. Like, acha bas. Like, ab kya like hoga? Like, how am I supposed to feel? And when the song released, till the song didn't release, I was in a state of limbo. So I felt like, yaar, I can't even work on music, man. I don't know what to feel. I need to see how this is gonna turn out to be first.
Yeah.
And then I remember that I saw the first screening of it. And I saw the song. And a part of me was happy and I was proud of myself, and everyone was, and they really loved the song, and it's a beautiful song. I was so honored to the fact that Strings like gave their legends of the whole Pakistani scene, people I've grown up listening to, they gave their own baby for me to sing. And that was a beautiful feeling. लेकिन यार कुछ बहुत मेरे अपने अंदर ना, अगर मैं ये सब कुछ एक इस वक्त फिल्टर लगा के शट आउट कर दूं, मेरे अंदर एक वो आवाज़ आई थी जिसने कहा था, ब्रो, this is just not your best, bro. And you thought of yourself at a certain level and you haven't gone there. Do you just imagine you wanted to make music, you visualized coming on Coke, everything's happened. Is this the end result you thought you'd be feeling like? No, because there were so many feelings. It was like, हाँ यार, ये अली ज़फ़र का भाई है. I don't know. This guy maybe didn't deserve it. Maybe he got this because maybe he's like, he's been anticipated. He's a good-looking kid. Maybe he has, a decent voice to be able to sing it. I didn't feel any character. I didn't feel honesty. I didn't feel my vulnerability in me expressing those words. Then I thought maybe it's because I'm singing someone else's thing and I'm so in touch with my own voice and thought process and my own soul and heart as a musician कि शायद मेरे में वो सलाहियत ही नहीं है कि मैं किसी की दी हुई चीज़ को, अब ये गिफ्ट है, ये लोगों के पास, people who are able to do that, hats off. I guess maybe if something is made that resonates with me, so like Alistair played me a song that is a part of my song album Constant.
Okay.
I heard that song. Uska title tha Death is Far. So being someone who's like dealt with issues related to death and trauma. तो मैंने वो नाम पढ़ा, मैंने कहा, bro, can I listen to this song? And he played that song. And the notes he had chosen and the melody, that is something that was completely in line with me. So इस तरह के one-offs हुए हैं कि मुझे feel हुआ हो कि यार ये melody मैं ही हूँ और मैं ये melody हूँ. लेकिन शायद मुझे feel हुआ कि okay, then I guess I'm not someone who's as open to maybe owning someone else's thing, because at the end of the day, it's about what I feel with the song. Like I said, what I feel with this cactus.
Exactly.
And with that song, I wasn't convinced. And a very subtle layer of knowing that was something I felt in every person I met who really knew the musician within me. My family, my very close friends, and my very close cousins, they were all proud. But I could just always tell कि इन्हें बस पता है कि इस बॉय का सीन काफ़ी और है और ये उतना हुआ नहीं है, लेकिन गुड यार, अच्छा है. ये वो मोमेंट था. And I was like, I never want to be in a situation where I put something out and I don't know what I feel about it ever again. I can't do that.
उसके
I
बाद
need to
तो-
be involved in the whole process, the engineering,
Yeah.
the writing, as much as I can.
यार इस पे हम बात करते हैं the whole process you are pretty much really involved in everything but before that you were discussing you just said that okay गाना release हुआ मुंतज़िर and people thought कि हाँ अली ज़फ़र का भाई आ गया he's good looking he's a
I
good
don't
looking.
know. I mean, people must.
You would
I
think-
also thought that.
You
मैंने
also
कहा, हाँ
thought,
यार,
no,
I'm
to be
not
honest,
convinced.
देखो to be honest उस वक्त ये है कि जो basically जो point आता है वही आता है कि you come up from a family जहाँ पर एक बहुत पाकिस्तान की legend है आपके बड़े भाई. Was that ever something कि लगता है मैं shadows में रहूँगा हमेशा and कैसे मैं overcome
नहीं
करूँगा
यार,
ये
this
चीज़?
is a question that I always say that this is something that him and me both have never even thought of. Why? He just knew the reason I fell in love with making music.
Okay.
He knew it. On a subconscious level, of course, it could have been that I'm seeing someone like I'm at home with them and I'm seeing them perform and I'm
Yeah.
very familiar with the whole act of it.
Yeah.
So, and it draws a child who's very young, seeing someone larger than life, his cool older brother, he's coming to pick him at school, or grade 1 mein main hoon, or grade 1 ke andar you had to, the caretaker, whoever would come to pick the child up, would have to come till the door of the classroom to take the kid away. So, like to take the kid back home. So, when Ali Bhai would come and he'd be at the door, I'd always tell him, we show everyone your muscles. So, he was that larger than life guy for me. So, kuch had tak, of course, like a lot of like what he was doing might have seeped in to my subconscious, ke, this is something that I can do. But I remember very clearly, it also started upsetting me because when I was about 10, like 11, 12 years old, people would sometimes come to me and be like, तो फिर आप भी singer बनोगे भाई की तरह? And I would get pissed off and say, नहीं, मैं businessman बनूंगा, मैं क्यों बनूँ singer? Just because he's a singer, I should also be a singer. So it was never like that. And then when I started making music and when I started learning the guitar, he knew that this kid is like discovering Pink Floyd, and he gave me that Zen music player that had all of these artists on. That had November Rain, Stairway to Heaven. That's where I got exposed to all that music. So he just knew, okay, oh, so he's just a kid who has his headphones on all the time. He's going through his teens and his emo phase. He's falling in love and all that stuff, and he's learning the guitar and he's listening to Nirvana. ये और तरह की एक चीज़ में जा रहा है. And then when he heard my first ever song that I had written, and when I played it to him, that day he said, you are just different. Because वो अंग्रेजी वो गाना भी हुआ है जो अभी तक लोगों ने सुना नहीं है. I'll release it when Danyal's ready. Because that was Danyal. So and I was 13 years old when I wrote that, or 14 or 15, I don't know. But it was the first song I wrote. He heard that, and he was the one to help me find a voice that's different, help me find an identity that's different, just by saying the words that this is very different and you're special and you think very differently. So a larger than life figure has inculcated in my brain कि यार तुम बहुत different हो, जो जिस तरह तुम सोचते हो वो कुछ और है. So naturally I grew up just always knowing that I'm different. I have a different expression, I have different aesthetics, I have a different thinking process, creative process. He has a different process. मसला होता और मैं shadows में रहता अगर मैंने छन्नो बनाना होता.
Yes, मैं इसी point पे आ रहा
हाँ, अगर मैंने चल दिल मेरे बनाना होता, अगर मेरा म्यूजिक टेस्ट होता where I'm making those songs and मुझे जो गायकी है वो पसंद है और मैंने रियाज किया हुआ है बड़े होते हुए और मैंने I never learned music. I just like played it along the way and kept learning it, just like playing it and playing it and playing it, and that's it. So it's never even been something that I've thought of कि ये वो shadows वो फलाना मुझे पता है जो मैं shit बना रहा हूँ वो it's just gonna speak for itself.
Yeah.
He knows it's gonna speak for itself.
Yeah, I know. It's.
So-
I also know it speaks for itself. It's लोगों के लिए होता है यार बताना जरूरी
Not
होता है.
even yet though. I think अभी भी
अच्छा अभी है.
हाँ बहुत ज़्यादा है अभी. This is just the beginning.
अच्छा let's music से निकलते हैं. You're a musician. You're a really good guitar player. A really good singer. Acting भी कर रहे हो. Modeling भी कर रहे हो. हमने videos में देख ली bro you can direct as well. ठीक है. I think you can create a whole show if you want to. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Like, क्योंकि you're pursuing a lot of different things, ना? मतलब it's not just music, it's acting and everything. तो 10 साल बाद क्या देख सकते हैं हम?
I think just made legend who is just like really known to express in a way that's forever more progressive and different and pushing bounds. बस वो
That's
music
it.
हो acting हो. Yeah, I just like doing stuff that's different. So 10 साल में क्या है? Like you want to peak, right?
हाँ
10 साल में.
वो तो
10
everyone
years is a
wants
lot
to
of
peak.
time.
Yeah. Everyone wants to peak.
Yeah, but
my
everyone
point is
can't
was
get there.
हाँ
वो भी है
वो
ना.
भी है.
कहते तो सारे ही हैं.
कहते सारे.
But it takes a certain special amount of cloth to be cut from to be able to do shit that you need to do to get there. You need to make the difficult choices. You need to put yourself in that challenge. Like for instance, even for this, for me to be involved in the making of this concept with Bande, with Balaj, and then to have an idea that's like a baby to me, and to be involved to the extent कि ये shorts होंगे, ये सब कुछ होगा, बाज़िल के साथ बैठ के दुनिया पूरी पहले सोचना, 6 गानों की एक कहानी बनाना, कि what am I really trying to say with all of this? See, the easier path for me would have been, hey guys, this is the wardrobe reference, कुछ ऐसा ऐसा कर ले और बस जो आप लोगों ने डायरेक्टर लिया, हाँ शूट बता दें कब हो रहा है, और मैं आया और मैंने कहा मेकअप बता दें, मेकअप किया, शॉट बता दीजिए क्या और किया,
खत्म हो गया.
और जब शॉट में ब्रेक है तो बैठा साइड पे चिल किया, शो लगाया, अगला शॉट है ले जी ले ले. तो बट दैट्स एन ईजी वे टू गो with things, but when you know that there's a certain potential, you always have to ask yourself a question. It's very simple. What would the best version of me do at this point? So if I have the capability to come up with a concept, to come up with the creatives of something, to design the soundscape for that, to also be able to engineer that, and then I have the gift of being able to visualize what I want, of there being a story that I think I know how I can tell, and then being able to put that story together, and then finding the right people, putting them together in that entire like circle of energy to ensure that this story is told in this way, and then being on set and knowing this is the reason I want the camera to be put over here, this is the reason I'm doing this action, this is the reason we're going to have this sequence, और इसमें कप ऐसे पकड़ा होगा, प्लेट ऐसे जाएगी, ये शॉट का इंसर्ट लगेगा, ये चीज़ें जब आपको पता है कि I can think and operate in my best state in this manner where I can execute all of this, so of course you're making a choice essentially, na? Anything less than that is just you not being the best version of yourself.
Is it the same, the whole process you described, the whole things you do, it's the same thing while acting as well?
I think acting, you're essentially hired for the job. Music, you're your own boss, unless you're a singer. Like then you're also, you get projects, but it's like, it's different. Bro, you know, you're hired to like sing something, and it's something that someone else has made for something else. So acting is like, I'm hired for a show. My job is to bring life to that character. Now, of course, if you have a certain level of insight, then again comes the question, what is the best way to go about this? Do I just wait for the shoot day, sit in the makeup room, have the script come there and then read and then think, अच्छा ये मैंने करना है? Or do you sit with the director, you meet with them, you meet with the script writers, you sit down, you go through the scenes, you question the motive, you see what's happening, where is the story taking this entire thing, why is this guy saying this, is it adding to the narrative, to the character, to their story, or to the purpose of this scene? As you dissect that and get into that, it's the same process as music. The breakdown is as much. You're engineering a scene. Anything can change if an actor also thinks about things to an extent कि सर इस पे अगर आप कट ना लें और आप बस मैं ये एक गो में देना चाह रहा हूँ, मुझे फील हो रहा है कि इस पे कोई ब्रीदिंग मार्जिन आएगा ही नहीं. हो सकता है डायरेक्टर सोचते हैं कि यार okay, then you know what, I'm gonna go for a one take. So these are things that you can and you do put to the table as an actor. But I feel that again, it's always just a choice. कितना करना है, कितना नहीं करना. Some people might say, bro, तो नहीं करने की ज़रूरत हर म्यूज़िक वीडियो को डायरेक्ट, नहीं गाने इंजीनियर करने की ज़रूरत, दे दिया करो किसी को, डेलीगेट करो.
काफ़ी लोग करते हैं, कहते हैं.
हाँ, कहते भी हैं और फिट है ब्रो, करो. मेरा एक मसला है.
सर हमें पता है, सर मुझे पता है.
मुझे अगर EQ डालनी है और मुझे अगर फ्रीक्वेंसी बूस्ट देनी है, मुझे वो बूस्ट ऊपर जब नॉब जा रहा होता है ना तो ऐसा प्यार महसूस हो रहा होता है उस फ्रीक्वेंसी को सुनने. I love that. So that's why I'm as involved.
दिस डेडिकेशन ना हम इंटरनली भी हम डिस्कस करते हैं यार, ये डेडिकेशन हम नहीं देखते इन nowadays in all the other singers and artists.
Gen Z.
Gen Z होते हैं, पिछले होते हैं, क्या गल कर रहा सर.
Gen Z में हम ये नहीं देखते.
But
बड़ी
point is that
शिकायतें
वो
हैं
they found the easy way out and I have seen that you don't, which is a really good thing. मतलब to be honest मैं बात करूँगा यार, which is a really good thing कि I have never कोई भी पूरे प्रोसेस में एक्सपीरियंस मैंने ये नहीं देखा कि यार डैनी जी ने इजी वे आउट करके निकल गया यार, ठीक है ऐसे कर लो. यू वर देयर फॉर द प्रोसेस एंड दिस इज समथिंग रियली गुड. और बहुत बहुत कम रेयरली आई हैव सीन इन रेयरली क्या आई हैव नेवर सीन इन एनीवन. इवन मैं खुद गाने करता हूँ, मैं इतना नहीं करता ब्रो. अपने गाने होता है, मैं नहीं करता जितना आई हैव सीन यू. दैट्स रियली गुड थिंग. एंड बिफोर वी एंड द प्रोजेक्ट यू डिड विद अस, the 6 songs with the music videos, was it Danny Zee or Danyal Zafar?
I think that's for the people to decide. I do know that the last song is Danyal, and I do know that the first song maybe is Danny Zee. Beach mein wo it's वही journey है ना, finding and coming back to yourself through this catalyst that you make for yourself. So I think I'd leave that to people to decide.
So वो blank होगा. I think competition start कर देंगे उसका. जी बताओ जी ये दानियाल है, डैनी जी है.
हाँ, yeah. Actually, that's a very good thing. People should figure it out. कि आपको क्या लग रहा है, and then what they think. मेरा तो है ही opinion एक. But I would rather that people draw their own conclusions, and they talk about it themselves, and they make their own Danny Zee and Danyal.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing वैसे यार, हम कर सकते हैं.
Yeah.
Idea अच्छा. Thank you so much यार for being with us, and thank you
for
for
talking to you.
Like
wonderful discussion.